Alright, welcome to my first official screen recording, everyone. Alright, so now we're going to work on our delete endpoint, and it looks like I forgot to delete my delete code. Check our router, see if okay, I removed that here. So, we are going to start writing our delete method based off of our router in our jog route. App router.delete, and then we need to pass in an ID parameter, URL param, so colon ID, and then we need to pass in our function request response equal arrow squiggly, and I'm going to give some documentation to this saying HTTP localhost 5000 /delete /ID. So now we need to retrieve our ID. So how do we do that?
ID equal rec.params ID.
Okay, what Alex said, let ID equals rec.params.id. So we'll see what happens if we don't specify ID and try not setting any of our own verification, see if Express just handles it for us. So we'll move on from here. So now we need to write a function in our jog controller. So I'm going to say let remove jog from array equals, and then we're going to say ID for the parameter equals, and now we're going to say underscore dot remove, and then we should have a jog log, which is our jog model here. So that will be our first parameter. Then our second parameter is going to be our predicate, just like we did on the board, that will specify the criteria for removing it. So that is going to be removing it by ID. So we have to specify the individual item or JSON in the jog log, and then specify our criteria. So jog.id equals, and then our parameter passed in ID. And I believe that is it. So last thing we need to do is add documentation here. So param ID is going to be a GUID or UID, and then removes jog from jog collection based off of ID, and then I'm going to add my own return array of removed items. So I don't explicitly say return here, but it is returning because ES6 functions return by default whatever the output of this is. So that should be good enough. Now what do we need to do in order to make this usable by the jog route? You give someone else a chance to talk here? Alright, so we have exported that. Remember that left needs to be, doesn't have to be, but should be the same as the right to avoid confusion. Left is how it's going to appear to the function, or to the script that's calling this module. Right is the actual name of the function in this module. So now this should be available to our jog route. So let's see. So we're going to say let removed item, plural. It's really only going to be one item, but it could be possible that multiple items would be returned, but not really, because we're using generated GUIDs, which are supposed to be very, very unique. And then we're going to say jog controller dot remove jog from array. And all we need to do now is pass in the ID as a parameter. So now we're going to say if not removed items. So if no items were removed from here, we're going to throw a 404. So rest.status 404 rest.json, pass in our error, jog not found with ID plus ID. Else it succeeded. And as I said on the board, it's implicitly 200 by default, so we don't need to set the rest.status. So we'll just set the rest.json, and then we'll pass in the removed items. So now we'll see if my code works. Doesn't mean it worked though. Alright, so here we go. So we have the URI that we already need in here. We just need to change it to a delete. And I'll go ahead and get rid of this JSON. It wouldn't break anything, and we don't need content type anymore. So first of all, let's see what happens when you do not define this, and see how Express handles this. I'm wondering if it will return a 404. 404 not found. So it looks like we do not need to actually specify error handling in that situation, because Express will do it for you. The only thing is that it's kind of an ugly error that they give you back. But by the time that you get a 404, someone's probably not going to be looking at the error because they just assume they did it wrong. So now, let's go ahead and plug a valid GUID into there. And gave us back a 200. It showed us what it deleted. So now, let's do a get on the same URI, because we have a get by ID in this. And we got a 404 back. No jogging record found with that ID. And now, let's test out our bad logic saying that someone passes in an ID that does not exist. So we'll try ASDF for the GUID. We'll try sending that, and it'll give us back a 404 not found, and the message saying no jogging record found with that ID. So that concludes the delete here. Are there any questions about this? Like I said, you don't have to use the same libraries and logic I use to do this. I just found that Lodash is very popular in the development world because it handles a lot of the logic for you, and it's unit tested very well. So you can pretty much trust it to always work correctly and save yourself a lot of lines of code. So now I need to figure out how to end this.